Dear Prime Minister, First Ladies, friends, let us welcome the founder and chairman of the Friends of Zion Museum and our dear host, Dr. Mike Evans.
Thank you. Thank you. What an honor it is to be here tonight. I'm not going to recognize all the people that have been recognized for the sake of time, but I hope you're not taking this for granted. I can tell you, in the more than 40 years that you've known me, Mr. Prime Minister, I've had a miserable relationship with Secretary of States and ambassadors to Israel. Miserable relationship with them. The last one told me, I'm going to Ramallah to celebrate Hillary's victory. But not anymore. Those days of misery are over. Thank God. Thanks to Donald Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu. I began with Menachem Begin. And I can tell you, there's never been in the history of Israel a bond as there is between this Prime Minister and that President. I know them both. Actually, to tell you the truth, they're the same guy. Ronald Reagan, Churchill, their strengths, they're just so much alike in their DNA. And I'm astonished when I meet with Muslim leaders. Absolutely astonished, because I hear things like this. I work very closely with Bibi. Tell Bibi, thank you. Another Muslim leader says to me, there can never be two capitals in Jerusalem, otherwise there would be a terror capital. This is a Muslim leader saying that. Actually, one said something that I've never even heard by an Israeli. One told me, why did the Palestinians call themselves Palestinians? They're Ottomans. They came out of the Ottoman, they go back. They got it wrong. Anyhow, what I'm saying is that there's a tremendous alliance right now, thanks to this president and this prime minister, that's completely astonishing. Astonishing alliance that nobody even understands the fullness of it. It's really a miracle. No president has ever been greater for the state of Israel than this president. What can you talk about? The Taylor Force Act, the Iran sanctions, an alliance that's quiet but powerful with the Sunnis, the Golan Heights recognition, the Jerusalem recognition. The United Nations, and this was an ambassador to the United Nations that understands what the moral clarity aspects are now of a U.S. president in the United Nations. Tremendous. I got a call 2 days ago from Rabbi Goldstein. This is the rabbi that was attacked the last day of the Passover. He called me from Auschwitz. He was there with 800 children. And I'm thinking, what, God bless this man. He's still suffering, but he's out there caring and reaching out. What causes people to attack a synagogue in Pittsburgh, or to do what they did there, or to put an anti-Semitic cartoon in the New York Times? What causes it? One word: anti-Semitism. It's the core virus that creates all the evil in the PA, in Gaza, in Lebanon, in Europe, and even in America. But it's mutated. Today, anti-Zionism is the new anti-Semitism. Anti-Zionism. Don't buy into the big lie that Israel is the reason that anti-Semitism exists. It's just the opposite. And who's getting the beating for this anti-Zionism? That man right there and his wife. The bullseye's on them, the prime minister. They vent their spleen with such rage and anger because of a prime minister who's making Israel great. Seems to me there's another guy that's making another country great that's experiencing the same thing. Not a coincidence at all. Not a coincidence at all. This anti-Semitism has to be addressed. It has to be addressed. I set up the interview with Mahmoud Ahmadinejad for the Fox News Network. And this is what he said to me. I like Jews, but I hate Zionists. He said, do you know what our scientists have found out? That the average Zionist lives to 82 and the average Iranian 62. I said, why the disparity in age? He said, rats. The Zionists send rats to Iran. They infect our crops. We eat the food. We die 20 years younger. I said, well, then can you teach me how do they teach the rats to swim across the Persian Gulf? He believes this crazy stuff. Actually, he said to me, you need to read a book and get educated. It's called The Protocols of the Elders of Zion. That's why Friends of Zion exist, to combat anti-Semitism. Listen, why are we doing this? We're in Muslim countries right now. We have 14 million members in Muslim countries. We have 8 million in Indonesia, 3 million in Pakistan, 466,000 in Afghanistan, 440,000 in Saudi Arabia. And we get thousands of anti-Semitic posts every day. Every single day we get thousands. And I'm delighted. Because here's what we do, Mr. Prime Minister. We take those posts and we profile them. Because if they did it to the Pittsburgh man, he would have never attacked that synagogue. He was trashing anti-Semitism on posts, but nobody ever saw it and nobody did anything about it. But we're doing something about it, and we're grateful that we have this opportunity. Yes, the new wars are ideological wars. And we are going to dedicate a research institute. We're going to a social network campus. As a matter of fact, we're having the Communication Summit at FOS in November. And there's something else we're going to do. When the Prime Minister speaks at it, we're going to be dedicating the Donald J. Trump exhibition in the Friends of Zion Museum. I want to close by just saying one thing personal that I never talk about. Why I do what I do. I'm driven 24 hours a day to defend Jews. And here's why. My mother was a Jew. She was an Orthodox Jew that hated Christians. At the age of 4, she told me, Christians kill Jews. Christians hate Jews. Jesus died, don't dig him up. I named you after your great-grandfather, Mikhail Katz-Nelson, who was burned to death in his synagogue with 2,000 Jews. I found out from Shimon Peres that his grandfather, Metzner, was the cantor rabbi in the same synagogue. But I had a problem. My problem was I had a father who was a professing Christian. And he hated Jews. How in the world did she marry such a man? It's crazy. She had 7 children, and she was married to an anti-Semite. But here's what he believed. He believed she had an affair with a Jewish man, and I was not his son. So he abused me year after year. At the age of 11, I was so ashamed because I never could defend my mother. And on Friday nights, he'd sit her in a chair. He'd come home drunk and sit her in a chair, and he'd slap her in the face, say, you Jewish whore. And I'd sit on the top of those stairs and I'd be so ashamed because I didn't have the courage to stand up to that man. And one day at 11, I got the courage. And I screamed, "Stop it!" And when I screamed and he ran up the stairs, he picked me up by my throat, way above his head, and strangled me. I went unconscious. When I woke up in a fetal position, I screamed in rage, "God, why was I born?" And then I knew the answer. I couldn't defend one Jew against a Jew hater. My purpose in life was to defend all the Jews. That's what drives me. Your brother, I told him this story. Ido, he said, "Mike, you're a neurotic." I said, "Ido, I may be a neurotic, but I am proud to turn my pain into power, purpose, and passion to love the Jewish people and defend the Jewish people." I'm so honored that there's an ambassador here of courage, of compassion, that won't back down, has never backed down. He was named David, like the great David in the Bible by his rabbi father. I told him a few minutes ago, I said, "You know, look what all the prayers you've answered. You've been an instrument to answer." He'll take credit for nothing, but he's here and he's strong. And I said, "You know what I think? I think your father prayed those prayers that you are answering right now.